What you see on your screen right now is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It basically highlights which stages of life you need to fulfill before you can achieve self-actualization. And this is the point where you've achieved all that you could achieve in your current stage in life. So we start from the bottom of the table and we go all the way up where we attain self-actualization. That's the point when one begins to realize his full potential. And that's basically the goal of self-improvement. It's actually the goal of life if you get to think about it. We're all trying to achieve self-actualization. We're all trying to get to that point, because when you do get to that point, you become more self-aware, you're more concerned with your personal growth, you don't really care what other people think about you. You can't get to the point of self-actualization if you don't feel the levels below, and that makes complete sense, because you wouldn't really care about your friends if you're running out of breath right now. You wouldn't be worried about a lack of love if you never had food to eat today. The journey is different for all of us, because we're all alone in this together. But in this video, I'm going to walk you through everything that you need to know on your journey to the top. There's a lot of value in this video, and I suggest you pull out a notebook so that you can take notes as you watch the video. You can like it, add it to your save later, or add it to a playlist on YouTube so that you can come back and check through whenever you need to. So there are two ways you can improve. You can change the world around you, and most importantly, you can change yourself. It all starts with total honesty with yourself. We've all gone through the school system. We've been subordinate to the authority, and we've done everything that they wanted us to do, even if it wasn't in our best interest. But now you're deemed old enough and you've been left to figure your life out. You weren't taught how to solve real life problems, and you condemn yourself for failing or acting out of pocket. You probably don't like yourself. You might have periods of negative thinking where all you do is wallow in self-neglect, and you might be struggling with certain addictions or habits, but you can't seem to break out of them because they help you numb the pain. But you watching this video means you're striving for a change, and that's a good thing. And I hope this video provides you with the knowledge that you need. We look and try to study the people around us so that we can see what they did to achieve what they've achieved, and we can try to emulate that and achieve the same results that they did. But we don't really know who the enemy is. And 9 times out of 10 it's you. You are the enemy. Amongst all the things that are stopping you from getting to the point that you want to get to, the biggest thing in your path is you, and that's what you should be focused on right now. So that brings us to the first chapter: mental health. The world would be a better place if everybody had good mental health. And even though mental health is being talked about more and more nowadays, it's being addressed more, and people are actually starting to pay attention to it now. I speak for guys, so I'm obviously an advocate for men's mental health, but there really isn't concrete advice out there. Google literally tells you to seek therapy. But let's be real, a whole lot of us can't afford professional therapy. If you had the perfect mental health, everything would line up. You'd be happy and content with where you are, but you'll still be striving for better. You'd be grateful for the things you have and the people around you, and you wouldn't really have many problems. And even if you did, you wouldn't have a problem solving them. You wouldn't have a drinking addiction or a smoking addiction. You wouldn't be struggling with porn. You also wouldn't struggle to keep up with the habits that you're trying to adopt. You definitely wouldn't be staying up all night overthinking over something that you can't change. Because what is life if not for what we process up here, in these big heads that we carry on our shoulders? But the thing is, guys take a while to move on from negative situations that they were involved in the past. A lot of us are prisoners of the past. And this is something that I've personally struggled with. It's like we create this mental movie in our heads of when somebody abandoned us, somebody hurt us, or somebody didn't love us. And we keep replaying this movie every single time in our head. And you sort of take up the identity of somebody who isn't good enough, somebody who doesn't succeed, somebody who isn't worthy. And from you constantly thinking about this situation that made you sad or depressed, it then shifts to thinking about the future and worrying whether it can happen again. And that will just cause you anxiety. You living a life like this will make you grow a lot of resentment. Not only for the people who hurt you, but also for yourself. You might limit yourself from meeting new people, going out and doing new things, and you just hold yourself back because of fear. We all have insecurities, and society tries to tell us to be emotional and open up and show your feelings and whatnot, but we all know that that's crap and that doesn't work. Nobody really cares. You might try to numb the pain by hanging out with people, but it still comes back. Some others find themselves drinking and doing drugs, and it even gets to the point where others would kill themselves. It does get that bad. Those memories you keep replaying in your head will never leave you. All you can do is change the perception that you have of them. Certain things matter only if you tell yourself that they matter. And out of every bad situation, there's always a positive. I know it's hard to see the positives when you're in a bad state because Negative emotions trigger us more than positive emotions do. But having the strength to take a step back and see what good thing actually came out of that bad situation and being grateful for that thing is what's going to make you heal. Gratitude is that little speck of light in the dark, and light always triumphs over darkness. It sounds all wishy-washy, but life comes at you fast. There's always another problem to solve. There's always something new that comes up. There's always something to look forward to. Taking the time to sit down, embrace the present, and have a reflective process where all you do is show gratitude for what you currently have will make you happier than most people around you. It will give you a lot of peace of mind. Gratitude helps you see through the negativity, because that's all we have around us. Negativity sells, and negative emotions trigger us more. That's why you've got all this negative news that's pushed out to you every day. Its purpose is to make you tag along to the motive. But the more negative thoughts you hold to yourself, the more you damage your state of mind. And your state of mind leads to your identity, which leads to your reality. You won't see the goodness of your life if you're always negative. And you won't be able to achieve your highest potential if you've got bad mental health. That's why we've talked about it first. Your mental health and your mindset are always on the same wavelength. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Chapter 2. Mindset. There are always two sides to a story. And the side that you listen to longer is the one that you're going to believe. You consciously need to develop your own perception of things. You have to be independent in the way you think. Sure, you might be born into a culture or a society that believes certain things, but that doesn't mean you should adopt them as your own immediately. I don't know why it took me a long time to realize it, but you really need to question your beliefs. Because some of them don't serve you right, and you know that. Like, how many times do we adopt the mannerisms of people that we look up to, even if they're destructive? It's because we don't allow ourselves to think. This is the reason why cancel culture has become so popular, because people aren't given the space to speak or voice out their opinions. Once one thing has been said, people want that thing to stick, and there's no space for any other point of view. And people say dumb stuff and do dumb stuff every day. Your mind is constantly consuming information, and you need to make sure that you separate the good from the bad every single time. You can't be naive in today's society. Everything is way too accessible. You don't know what you might read or hear, and you might casually pick that up and live your life according to what you just heard. Have an open mind but a discerning heart. Listen to other people's opinions, but carefully choose what you want to take in and let go of the rest. And another point I wanted to talk about is that your perception of things like success and happiness may be different from how other people see it. It might make you feel different or left out, but that's okay. Most guys try to cope and find themselves hanging out with the wrong crowd and doing things that they're not supposed to do. Things that don't benefit them at all, because they don't have that sense of belonging. The sense of belonging to a particular group. But you having a different mindset and perception of things is okay. You'll be fine in solitude because you're better off being right on your own than being wrong with the crowd. And that takes us to the next chapter. Responsibility. You are responsible for everything that happens in your life, regardless of the situation. If you can't take charge of what happens in your life, you won't be able to change for the better. Your level of responsibility is very low right now because you've gone through school guided by your teachers, and you've gone through the rest of your life guided by your parents or whoever takes care of you. So you probably don't know how to do things on your own. But when you start to take up responsibility, you start to move differently. You start to feel different. It's like your self-worth goes up by a level or two. And the greater the responsibility, the greater amount of confidence that you get. First child in a family of 4, and I've had responsibilities thrown at me frequently. It's like, make sure this is done, make sure this is taken care of, make sure your siblings are okay and whatnot. And those responsibilities were alright, but I never really felt like I was in control. You know that feeling when you're in charge of something and it makes you feel like, yeah, I'm that guy. I guess I adjusted to taking charge in that sense. But something started to change when I got my driver's license. I got the license and now I was allowed to move with a car to places that I would usually go to by bus. And this was something new to me. It felt like the level of responsibility had increased at that point. This might sound like something light to you, but I think it's a good example of how the greater the responsibility, the more confidence that you get from it. So why isn't it the same with our lives? Because life doesn't get any easier. You will always have challenges, and challenges only get tougher as you go on. But it's your life, and you can determine why you want to go, when you want to go, and how you want to go. That's a massive responsibility, and we don't realize it. Like, who do you think is going to live your life? It's easy to shift responsibility to somebody else, especially when it's their fault. Like when somebody breaks your laptop, for instance, you'd obviously push the agenda for them to repair it. But growing up with such a mentality will be detrimental for you in the long run. Being responsible means leading, and leading from the front. Sure, you might not be the boss or the leader in whatever group you're in, but you still lead your life. There's nothing attractive about being a victim, but victimhood is praised in today's society. You would have people coming up to you like, oh bro, I'm sorry that happened to you, that's so unfortunate. But people feeling empathy for you shouldn't make you feel good about yourself. We all go through challenges, and the people who overcome those challenges are the real winners. Those are the ones that are supposed to be getting their attention, not the ones that just sit and feel bad about themselves. Okay, there are people who've gone through very bad things, very bad circumstances, and yeah, they can be classified as victims, but the title of being a victim shouldn't stick to your personal identity. Just because you went through something that you didn't want to go through in the first place doesn't mean you should blame somebody or feel sorry for yourself. You came on this earth on your own, and your life is 100% your responsibility. Nobody is coming to save you. But if you're watching this video right now, then I assume you're in a safe place and you're a fully functioning human being. So I believe you can do anything with your life, and you should too. Being responsible for everything around you doesn't mean you can't go looking for help. If you don't know how to get something done, you can ask somebody who can help you to do so. You're still taking responsibility because you're trying to get something sorted out even with the assistance of somebody else. In my previous video, I talked about leading your own way in life and doing what you want. There are certain guys that don't have those big $1 million dreams and we're always told to aim for big numbers, and if we don't, then we're aiming too low. But there are certain guys that actually don't want that, and that's okay. You don't need to be the next Elon Musk or the next super entrepreneur. If you're content and fulfilled with what you're doing, so be it. But if you aren't content and want bigger things, then keep pushing. And that takes us to chapter 4, taking action. Look, comfort is the killer of man. Comfort is what takes away your need to strive for greatness. It's the killer of purpose and passion. How many times have you stopped yourself from doing something hard and say, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow? Like, just think about it. How many times have you put away the hard thing to indulge in short-term pleasure? Because everything you might want nowadays can be gotten at the touch of a screen. You can order stuff online, you can get any song, you can download any movie, and everything can be done for us. You basically don't have a reason to do anything. And that's why you find things hard to do, because you don't take action frequently. Let's take it like this, right? Life is like a video game. But in life, if you do not keep on putting in those efforts, your progress won't stay right there. You drop. You won't find it at the same place. When you stop taking action, your progress is going to drop and you're going to go down that order. And that's probably where you are right now. You're probably very low in the scale of taking action. And for you to get back to where you were, you need to get used to doing the things that you would find irrelevant before doing the harder things. All these simple motivational videos say something like, make your bed. Like, that's the first thing you should do because it's the simplest thing to do. It can also be as simple as doing the dishes or doing your laundry. Start with the simple things first before you go to the hard ones. There's no way you can start a game at a high profession when you've never played it before. So take it that way. Your ego might stop you and say, no, I'm better than that, I can't be doing such things. But that's what you need to do. You need to start small and you need to start easy. Start by doing the things that feel beneath you, the things that are easy. And do them regardless of how you feel, because that's how you get to the point of doing the hard stuff regardless of how you feel. The harder paths in life are the ones that lead to greater success. Because every time you make a decision, you're deciding which path to go on. You either take the easy route or the hard route, and the harder route always leads to more success. There might be a lot of barriers along the way, but there's always a reward at the end of it. And that takes us to chapter 5, discipline. Discipline is when you do the work regardless of how you're feeling. Discipline is a skill. It's a mindset. You might blame yourself and say you're not consistent with certain things because you just aren't good at them. But no, that's not the case. You just aren't disciplined. Discipline is going against your feelings. You procrastinate because you don't see the necessity in doing the work. You don't see the value that you'd get out of doing the work that you want to do. And that's because you're way too comfortable. If you really want those things that you have on your vision board, you're going to have to work for them. And you're going to need the discipline to do the work. And discipline requires constant sacrifice. You constantly have to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term gain. Like, what are you willing to sacrifice today to get your goal tomorrow? Maybe next year, maybe next month, maybe even a decade. What are you willing to sacrifice today to get you to that goal? Everything comes at a cost, so choose wisely. Chapter 6, vision. I'm sure you've heard all these motivational gurus say things like, you need to find your purpose, you need to have a mission. If you don't have a vision, then you're not going anywhere. These are all words that they use interchangeably, but they don't really explain what they actually mean. Like, what's a vision? What's a mission? What's a purpose? They're all different, they aren't the same thing. I'll talk about purpose later in the video, but let's talk about having a vision and having a mission right now. A vision is just a fancy word for a plan. It's like something you would like to see happen or a place where you would like to be. It just describes what you hope to achieve, and you can achieve that with the help of your mission. Your mission helps you explain how you're going to achieve those goals, how you're going to execute, how you're going to move, what you're going to do. It just helps you align the steps to accomplish your goals. It shows you whether you're making progress or not, or whether you need to change strategy. Now, most people are NPCs, non-player characters. Most people don't actually live their lives. They don't have any direction, they don't have anything to strive for. They just casually go with the flow and do whatever society tells them to do. And that's why you're unhappy. You can date back to previous generations and see how people lived, but back then every man was striving for something. There was always something that he wanted to get, and he was always pushing himself to get it. The drive was just to go get it, whatever it was. Sure, everybody can have a vision. We can all say, oh, I want to be like this in the next 5 years. I want to be here in the next 10 years. But how we get those focused goals and missions is where purpose comes into play. And I'll talk about it towards the end of the video. Chapter 7. Emotional mastery. A lot of times we get stuck up in our heads. Literally. The moment something bad occurs, we either react in a way that's out of pocket, or we just try to keep the feelings inside. We shut the world out and keep everything to ourselves. And this is your fight, flight, freeze system at work. Sometimes you don't choose for these things to happen, it just happens. It's like your brain goes on autopilot. You're just programmed to react a certain way when certain things happen and when you feel a certain way. Depends on the emotions that you're feeling at that current state. In a situation where you feel under threat, you might try to fight back and get angry. Or you might take the flight. You might try to run away from it. You run away and try to avoid those feelings of anger. And after running away, we try to distract ourselves with many things possible. Alcohol, drugs, video games, porn, sex, whatever it might be. For as long as it takes your mind off what you were feeding, you are going to do it. Or you can just freeze and do nothing at all. I'm sure we've all had those moments where we've acted out of pocket and we've regretted those decisions immediately after. Pure emotions can lead to very rough decisions. This topic takes me back to a few weeks ago when I received my first negative comment on one of my videos below. I don't know which one it was exactly. And the person was just pointing out that I wasn't acting like myself, and I was acting like some famous YouTuber in this self-improvement space. And that was true, I won't deny it. It's like I was repurposing somebody else's content and making some worn out second-hand version of it. And not a second-hand version from China, but from Africa. But the moment I saw that comment, I deleted it. I took some time to think about it, and it definitely hurt my ego. But what he said was right. I just acted out of pocket because I felt under threat. I wish I could bring back that comment and actually say thank you to the guy who said it. But unfortunately, I can't bring up deleted comments, so sometimes you might not even be at fault. Somebody might just be plainly hating on you for whatever reason they might have. But it's your responsibility to learn how to control your responses whenever something comes up. Your memories are linked to your feelings. So when you remember certain things in the past, you're reminded of how you felt during those situations. But you need to learn to take a step back and pause your thinking and look at how you feel. What do you feel like doing in that exact moment? And what memories does it remind you of? It takes a lot of time and practice. And I can assure you that it will definitely change your life. The books I would recommend you to read if you really want to dive into this topic are Crucial Conversations by Kerry Patterson, I hope that's correct, and Thinking Fast and Slow. Chapter 8. Physical health. It's ironic because I'm talking about physical health and I'm actually down with the flu, and I hope it doesn't disturb the way I'm speaking. I hope I don't look sick on camera. I should probably wear something warm. Don't get it twisted here. There's more to physical health than just casually working out. The problem is that we're more focused on trying to work on the important stuff like making money or getting your university degree, but we neglect our health. And without your health, you're basically nothing. You wouldn't even be here right now. You might think of it as a little bit irrelevant right now because you're young and you can do anything, you can move and whatnot, and you might give stupid excuses like I don't have time. But if you keep giving excuses like this, your future self is going to look back at you today with so much regret. You wish you took the better food choices when you had the chance. You wish you actually took care of your body when it first started showing you the signs. When you first started developing that lump of fat that you have on your belly because of drinking too much alcohol. Taking care of your health, like everything else, requires time and attention. And it isn't anything complicated. Because if you're just like me, then you probably get worried when you're sick. So you just have to pay attention to the way you're feeling. And you have to pay attention constantly. Why am I feeling pain in my knee when I walk? Why am I feeling a sharp pain in my chest when I'm breathing? Why does my foot hurt? Why does my back ache? It's these simple things that can turn you over if it's too late. We put off most of our health concerns because we live in a world that makes you prioritize other things above yourself. But having a set time to consciously look at your health and how you're feeling is the best way to take care of it. And this is something that I do every Sunday evening. It's practically become a ritual at this point. And it practically takes 5 minutes. those 5 minutes can help you save your life. The other side of physical health deals with keeping you in shape. Keeping yourself in good shape has massive rewards because not only are you taking care of your health, but you start to look better. I know we live in a world that says you're not supposed to exercise to look better. You're fine just the way you are, la la la. But let's be real, looks don't matter. When you meet somebody for the first time, they don't know your story. They don't know anything about you. They don't even know your name. But when they look at your physique, they'll see how much effort you've actually put into yourself. The way you look gives the first impression. And you might be called shallow if you say you work out to look good. Because we've got all these movements of people trying to encourage other people to stay fat, or fat is beautiful, whatever they say. I don't think there's anything wrong with working out to look good, and you definitely shouldn't feel any shame about it. I've got some free beginner workout guides and I'll leave the link to them in the description. They're all free and I'll appreciate any feedback that you might have on them. Chapter 9. Adaptability. Life can toss you in whatever direction it feels like. You might be in a certain situation right now, but you might be in a different one tomorrow. Men grow through discomfort. At the beginning of the video, I talked about how comfort is the killer of man, but discomfort is what's going to make you grow. It's your absolute responsibility to adjust to whatever situation that you're in and find your way out of it. By adapting to conditions that are far worse than what you're normally around, you'll build resilience and you'll find it easy to do things that you found hard before. It's one thing feeling defeated, exhausted, tired, out of the game when you hit a new low. But whether you remain buried or not is your choice. Do you just sit there and wallow in your problems or you find a way to solve them? That takes us to the next chapter. Adversity. This is how you build resilience. Just think about it. Every time you notice growth or progress in your life, it came after a bad period. It came after a situation that made you feel uncomfortable. And the fastest way to grow as a person is by seeking adversity and doing things that make you feel uncomfortable. It sounds crazy, like you're trying to put yourself in danger, but the more difficult things you do, the tougher you become. That's just the way it is. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I don't know why I heard that phrase, but yeah, that's completely true. It doesn't matter what situation it might be, whether big or small, but putting yourself through things that are uncomfortable is going to lead you to greater things in life. A book that's going to drill this mindset into you is The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Chapter 11. Self-respect. All those feelings of self-love, self-worth and other things all stem from you having self-respect. Self-respect is only built when you show up for yourself, not when somebody else shows up for you. When you show up for yourself. Look at how many times we're told to get work done before a deadline. How many times we're told to hand in an assignment before a due date. You do all these things on time, but when it comes to doing something that you set for yourself, saying that you're going to go to the gym at 5 p.m, 6 p.m, whatever time you come back from work, and not going there, that's how you lose your own self-respect. Because you can't lie to yourself. Your self-esteem is built off the reputation that you have with yourself. And deep down you know and you know the truth. It isn't something that you should look back and hold resentment towards. We're all humans and we all make mistakes. You should be able to forgive yourself for things that you haven't done in the past. And for even things that you've done, things that you're not proud of. Just don't live in denial of them. Admit that you were wrong to yourself first. Then apologize to other people if it's necessary. And find a way to move on from it. If you're too hard on yourself for not saying what you meant to say or for not doing things that you meant to do, you will find it difficult to move on in life. On your path of growth, you're constantly going to change your mind about certain things. It's like a concept that a YouTuber called First Man talks about. He named the concept stick or twist, and what it basically implies is that you can either stick to where you're at right now or you can twist and keep moving. Progress requires unlearning. And after you unlearn, you have to learn new things. It's a constant cycle, it's not a straight line. Like imagine watching a book or reading a movie where the main character doesn't change for several chapters. Wouldn't that be boring? Now look at your life. But no, you let your self-doubt get in the way. No, I can't do this because of that. I can't do that because of this. Like, why on earth would you speak negatively about yourself? Like, nobody really cares about you. Nobody gives a damn what you do. So, if you speak negatively about yourself, who on earth do you think is going to speak positively about you? I'll say this time and time again. Nobody is going to save you. Nobody is coming to save you. We're all alone. We're all alone in this together. We've all got our different paths. You have to be your biggest supporter and your biggest critic at the same time. Like, you can't criticize yourself and always complain about whatever is going on in your life. Like, why are you always complaining, bro? You can't be glued to your opinions or your beliefs. These things are bound to change as you go on. I was going to say you can be married to them because then you can divorce them, but that's a bad example. But your opinions are bound to change either way, and that's okay. You don't have to be apologetic about it. Chapter 12. Addictions. You have a vice that you're addicted to. You're probably addicted to the internet, and that's why you're watching YouTube videos like this. Maybe you're addicted to things like video games, porn, TikTok, or physical vices like alcohol and drugs. I've never been addicted to physical vices, so I don't have the power to say anything about them. But the virtual ones, probably most of them. You become addicted to these things because of the way they make you feel. And the more you indulge in them, the more it will take for you to feel that high that you felt the first time you tried them out. I'm going to use the video game example again. It's like a video game and you earn experience the more you actually indulge in that game. Same applies to real life. You gain experience the more times you do something. And if that thing gives you a dopamine spike in your head, then you want to do it more. Dopamine is that feel-good feeling that you get after doing something. But now let's flip the script. Your goal shouldn't be to level up in video games, but to level up in real life. It may not be as exciting as the other ones, and it obviously won't give you that feel-good feeling quickly. But this is what self-improvement is all about. It's about delaying gratification and working hard to create a life that our future selves will look back at with gratitude. I made a video of how you can break bad habits, and I'll have one of the cards pop up somewhere here. You can watch it when you're done with this one, and that's soon because I'll probably be done with this one in a bit. Chapter 13. Productivity. When it comes to productivity and how much work you can actually do, there's only one major thing you need to focus on. Forget about all the other techniques you've been told. What really gets the work done is if you put yourself on a routine. This is why we had class timetables in school, because they told us what we're supposed to do at what exact time. And that's what a timetable or a routine will do for you. The concept of having a timetable in school is probably one of the only things that I can be grateful for from the school system. Set yourself a time to do certain things. Specific time, specific place. And if you keep up with the timetable, then 9 times out of 10 you'll be able to do work without any hassle. You won't be perfect with your routine. Some days will be bad, others will be good. But you trying to keep up with a routine that's going to make you do certain things at certain times is going to make you get more work done than actually doing those things at random times. Chapter 14. Social skills and relationships. Don't listen to what social media tells you. There's nothing amusing with being a lone wolf or a loner. We all crave social connection. It's actually one of the only things that truly makes you happy. There's one book that's always recommended, and I'm also going to do the same because the principles in this book really work. And that's How to Win Friends and Influence People. If there's one book that you can read on how to deal with people and create meaningful relationships with them, this is probably the one. Another book you can read is Social Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. Practice the principles in this book and you'll literally become a social butterfly. You'll be the one initiating all the moves and you won't be that friend that just tags along at the back of the line like a weirdo. Being lonely can kill you. Loneliness is a killer. And most people who enter depressive states enter those states because they've been alone for some time. Or they're just genuinely disliked by people. Most of the good experiences you've had have been around people and we can bet on that. So why not aim at becoming better at socializing with people? Because believe it or not, your success in life, regardless of how you define it, correlates with how you deal with people. You weren't taught how to make friends in school. You just mingled around with people that you found relatable. And I promise you, if you read the books that I suggested earlier, you have an easier time forming relationships with people who are like-minded. And forming a connection with people who are on the same path as you and have the same goals as you is going to grant you more growth than you going down that path alone. And now the last chapter, purpose and growth. I'm pretty sure we've all heard people say things like find your purpose or find your ultimate calling, but the advice has just never really hit. We talked about having a vision and a mission earlier on, but none of them matter if you don't have a purpose. A purpose is a reason. It answers why you're doing what you're doing. You trying to find your purpose in life isn't easy like these other people make it seem, but the path to your purpose is like peeling an onion. And onions have layers, so does your purpose. So you might feel the need to strive for something right now, and you might consider that your purpose. But at a later stage in life, you might feel the need to redirect and strive for something else. I definitely haven't discovered my final purpose on earth, but I definitely know what my purpose is right now. I've always found helping people figure out certain things about their lives fulfilling. And that's why I'm here on this platform, trying to help other young guys like myself go through this game of life in the best possible way, so that we can make the best out of it. Getting to the point where you can define your purpose takes a lot of sustained effort, but it's worth it. Your purpose is going to align to your core values, thus giving you a reason to keep going. How you get to a certain goal won't matter if you've got a stronger reason to why you should actually get there. And if you've got a stronger why, you will always find a way to do it. There were 3 questions that helped me get to the point of defining my purpose. And the first one was, what matters to me the most? Who matters to me the most? What do I care about? Who inspires me? What makes me get up in the morning? The answers to these questions might make you seem a little self-centered, but they'll help you come to terms with what you really care about. The second question is, who relies on me? And in most cases, this has something to do with your loved ones, your family, your extended family, your relatives, your friends, whatever. And the third question, which is the most important, is, how do I want to be remembered? What's the life that you want to live? What kind of stories would you like to be told about you? And the way you answer this question all depends on your perspective. Like, as a son, a brother, a friend, a future father, and just as a human being, I would like to be remembered as somebody who was just nice to be around. Somebody who would remind you of what a joy it is to be alive. Because every day above the ground is a great day. And as a content creator, I would like to be remembered as somebody who was bold enough to chase his own path and inspire others to do the same while spreading a good message. When you consider all the roles that you play in your life, your purpose gets to you quickly. It's like you start to reveal your own cards to yourself. I hope that helps you get to your purpose in whatever season you're in your life. When it comes to progress to your goals, whether big or small, your progress won't always be linear. You will take a lot of dips, a lot of setbacks, and you might find yourself in a situation that you were in before, and that's okay. It's all part of the journey. Sometimes you're going to put in the work, but you won't see any signs of progress. But that's alright, because you putting in effort means you're making progress. You don't always have to achieve something to see progress. It's not always like that. I think this is something that scores ingrained into our minds, because life is all a numbers game. It's always about going up and increasing the digits. But you not achieving anything doesn't mean you're not making progress. Even failure is a sign that you're moving forward. Your growth won't always be linear. You might not get the same amount of progress that other people around you are getting. And this might make you feel inadequate. And all those thoughts of self-doubt start coming back to your head because you think you're not good enough. Comparison is the thief of joy. And that's why we're told not to use social media as much, because the more you use it, the more likely you are to compare yourself to somebody else who you're going to think is better than you, but in reality isn't. I don't think social media is the only reason though. We've been comparing ourselves to each other from the time we were kids. And if you grew up in an African household, then I can bet that you've been compared to other people from the time you were young. There's this one moment that sticks out for me from childhood. So it was open day when parents come to get your report cards and stuff. I wasn't a bad student. I would sound very egotistical if I said I was a good student. Would I? But yeah, I was. I just had trouble when it came to the science subject. And I had a friend who was always better in class. Like, this guy was always above me. It actually became irritating at some point. So when you got your report card, you had the chance to compare yourself to other students in class. And on this particular occasion, Mom was comparing my marks to my friend's marks. Like, the friend who was usually above me. And even though I did better than him in certain subjects, he got better marks than me in science. And I can remember Mom saying something like, "Your friend got higher marks than you in science." Like, she said it in a very normal tone. So she said, "Your friend got higher marks than you in science." Then she said something after that. But at the end she said, "Why can't you be like him?" It was a very casual tone. It's not like I was being scolded at. But that line hit me. Even though comparison happened in like many other occasions, I always replay that one at the back of my head. The point here is, we basically grow up comparing ourselves to others, and you just can't stop a habit you've been building your whole life. It's practically a never-ending sequence, because you might be comparing yourself to somebody who you think is better than you, and they're also comparing themselves to somebody who they think is better than them, and somebody out there might be comparing themselves to you because they think you're better than them. You might just never know. Comparison is a very vicious cycle, and you have to be conscious enough to get over it. Because it's going to turn you into a perfectionist. It's going to make you feel like an imposter around people who are just as good as doing what you're doing. And it will cause a lot of self-doubt. It's the reason I took so long to start this YouTube channel. It's the reason you and I let go of opportunities, because we think we're not good enough for them. The barrier of comparison never goes away. But if you learn how to navigate your way past it, then you'll be well and good on your journey. One thing to note is that the feedback on your work will always differ. It can be positive or negative. But getting any form of feedback is good, because that's what will put you on the right track. It's like that negative comment that I got for acting like another YouTuber. Like, that comment wasn't even negative. It was feedback, and it's helped me change course. When somebody says something about the work that you do, they might just be bluntly hating on you. But you can always take somebody's negative perspective and make a good thing out of it. It depends on the lens that you look at it at. Those cringe Instagram pictures that you see in black and white that say things like "don't give up" or "just keep going," those pictures are actually right, and you should do just that. Just keep working on whatever you're working on until you start seeing feedback. Because when people start to value the value that you give them, that's when you truly begin to love what you do. And this takes time depending on the amount of work that you put in. But above everything, consistency is greater than intensity. Seek longevity, not trendiness. Before I end the video, I just have one more point to put out. You won't enjoy the journey of self-improvement if you're basing your goals off somebody else's success. You might get there and you might achieve the same things, but you won't enjoy it. The purpose of this guide is to practically act as a guide, just to shed some light on things you should consider. I hope this video and the videos that I make after this help you as you go on your journey. It might all look stupid and irrelevant right now, and your efforts might go unnoticed, but it gets better with time. Everything aligns with time. Whatever you do, just don't quit. It might look like a never-ending chase to achieve more, but you're supposed to enjoy the journey. And that's why I talked about gratitude at the beginning of the video, because without it, you'll never be content with yourself. The world owes you nothing, and you deserve nothing. So be grateful for what you have right now and strive for better. That brings us to the end of this video. Subscribe to the channel if you found anything valuable. I'm pretty sure you'll find the content I'll put out valuable as well. You can leave some timestamps in the comments and tell me which part of the video you related to the most. That's if you've reached this far. I don't know if I should apologize for having a flow as well. But you can save this video to your watch later, you can like it, or you can save it to a playlist so that you can come back and check through any information that you might need. This is probably the longest video I've made so far, but see you in the next one.